Welcome back, everyone, to the Blues feed. We are reacting to Chelsea news today. The Colwill ICL, which is really sad. Garnacho to Chelsea, which seems inevitable. And Nicholas Jackson to Newcastle, which is grabbing some momentum and a lot of headlines now. Before we jump into it, we just want to remind everybody about the giveaway. So once we get to 1,000 subscribers, anybody who has dropped a comment on any of the videos will be entered into a draw for a free kit of your choice. Luke, how we doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Still a little bit gutted around the Colwill news, but obviously we're going to get into that shortly. But yeah, overall, it's a Friday, so it's never a bad day in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, every day merges into one, and all I know is today, tomorrow, and yesterday is a thing. I'm not quite sure what day it is with the baby, but yeah, we'll jump into it then, mate. We obviously had the really sad news. I mean, we'd heard quite early ourselves that kind of around like that 9:30, 10 o'clock that it was an ACL, but we didn't want to really believe it, so we kind of ignored it until it officially came out from the club. Massive, massive loss for the side, and could have some real ramifications long term. What's your just first and foremost reaction to the news?
Yeah, it's never nice speculating on an injury, which is obviously why we chose not to say anything. It's just one of those things. You never want a player to be injured, especially an injury as severe and sometimes as career threatening as an ACL can be. So, yeah, ultimately it's just a feeling of real. I'm gutted for Levi generally because I think since the turn of the year he's been fantastic and he's finally taken that sort of step up that we'd expected him to take. And it proves how important he is for us from the reaction from the fan base because he's pivotal to that back line and it's leaving me a lot of doubt now with the current options. I feel like Levi was the glue, and then any of the other sort of centre back options could rotate in with him. And without him, we just lack that glue, and I'm a little concerned. I won't lie.
Yeah, mate. I mean, I think Colwell last year, especially the back end of the season, stepped up into the player we all thought he was and thought he could be, both on the pitch and then also from a leadership perspective. His mentality in his interviews and just how he was on the pitch was next level. Was is kind of a mini John Terry in the making, kind of from a personality and a mentality perspective. And it's a real shame. I think he was, apart from him and Cucurella, were the only two kind of mainstays in that back line for the last 6 months. And yeah, it's going to be a massive loss. Kind of makes me worried that now we've got Fofana and Colwell, our two main centre backs, or our starting centre backs, are both potentially going to be injury prone moving forward and have to be managed. It honestly couldn't have happened to a worse player in the team or a worse time and positional issues because of Fafana. I think Fafana and Colwell together are probably one of the better centre back pairings in the Premier League, if not kind of in the world. And now we're in a position where we have no Colwell for probably large portion, if not all of next season. And Fafana is always a fart away from injuring himself. Um, so yeah, I'm quite worried about the options. I don't think Badiashile is good enough, and also gets injured all the time. And I've never been fully convinced by the tossing or the Chalobah. If there are two starting centre backs, I'll be quite worried about that long term. I think they both did quite a good job when stepping up and stepping into the side, but doing that to kind of fight for your position compared to actually just being the main centre back is going to be a big ask for them. I think we're both in agreement. We probably need to step into the centre back market now, because I think it's a lot to ask for Hato, who predominantly was going to come in and play left back to take the shoes of Colwell now. It would have been fine from a cover perspective or the odd game, but I don't know if he's quite ready to play there all the time. What's your initial thoughts? Any particular player you think we should do? Would you be happy with just Hato stepping up? What's your thoughts?
I'm sort of stuck in two minds a little bit because I think it's Tosin or Trev. It's not both. I don't think you can play them as a partnership. So I think they need a partner, and that left-footed balance is always sort of key. Um, I think Hato could play there and could do a good job there, to be honest. And I think our opening sort of 10-ish league fixtures are kind enough where he could probably adapt without having too many issues. But you leave yourself a bit stuck then if you go into that boat and it doesn't work the way you want it to. You're then dealing internally until January. You obviously got Josh Achimpong internally who can play centre back as well, but again, it would be one of him, Trevor, tossing with a partner. I feel like they're quite similar in their profiles a little bit, where Levi just brings different stuff. So I think in externally is going to have to be the route to replace him. And then it's who, because there's probably not a perfect option on the market, bar Jared Branthwaite, but he would cost 85 million ish, I think, given his new contract. So that one's pretty much ruled out already. Bastoni's obviously the superior left-footed centre back in world football. That wouldn't be cheap. Um, we both love Luke Haber from Leipzig, but again, not going to be cheap at all.
Go do a Simmons and Lukaku double deal, 100 million. Let's just get it done.
100 mil, yeah.
Well, probably more than that, to
Yeah, I
be
was
fair.
going to say,
Yeah,
I think you're looking more like 130.
yeah,
Um,
so.
I think you've got two options in my mind if you want to be clever about it, and they are Mark Gahey would make a lot of sense. He's homegrown, so he replaces Colwill in that category. He's got the leadership qualities that probably more of a leader than Colwill. My issue is he is that bit smaller, um, and he's not the sort of passer that Levi is. He's not going to break lines like Levi. But I do rate Gahey more than most, and it'd end up being sort of a 30 to 35 million pound deal for us once you take off our sell on clause. Um, he's homegrown, so he replaces Colwill in that aspect. So I think that's one option, and the other option, which I haven't fully considered it myself, so I don't actually know where I feel about it. But it's Renato Vega. Um, I'm not massively keen on it because I think he burnt his bridges a little bit. But also, if there's not a player to go and buy, don't buy one for the sake of buying one. You only
Yeah.
buy the player if it's the right player. Um, Therefore, do you reintegrate Vega and see how he gets on? He was good for Juventus. Obviously, I'm not keen on it in terms of the way that he handled the January situation, but he's the profile. He is the right profile. He is the right fit to, and I could see him having a good partnership with Fafana. I think that could work, but I don't know if it's just a little bit too far down the line now. I, it's not that deep, but it's just I just don't think he handled himself too well in January. And what happens if he has a few bad games, comes out of the team? Is he going to kick up a fuss again in January? You don't want that sort of rotten egg around the group, if you like. So, if I'm honest, I'm a little bit unsure how I would act as a Chelsea director or board member right now, because I feel there's not one obvious candidate where, yeah, let's go and sweep them up. So I'm interested to see how we play it. It wouldn't surprise me at all if we just dealt with it internally, because we've already struggled in the centre back market this summer. We've been in the market the whole summer, and there's not been a real option, to be honest. And any option they have looked at, they've ended up turning away for whatever reason. So unless that famous market opportunity comes up, it wouldn't surprise me if they dealt with it with sort of Trev, Tosin, Fafana, Atchimpong, Hato, and dealt with it between them, maybe even Vega.
Yeah, I can agree with you there. I think my dream is Lukaku, but how does that work long term once Cole comes back? Unless you're going to play two left-footed centre backs. I've never been fully convinced by Gurhey. I think he struggles a little bit with the on the ball side of things, and again, I mean, I don't think it's a deal that Chelsea particularly would struggle to get done from a financial perspective. But from what I'd heard, he was quite happy to stay at Palace, play at Europe for Palace, and then next year he goes as a free agent, and he probably can go to most top sides in the Premier League because everybody gets him for free. He probably gets more money as well by doing that. So it might be convincing him that once Colwell's back and if Fafana gets fit, what happens? I don't think he'll want to sit on the bench. One player I do like is Loic Balde, which I mean is not a replacement for Colwell, but then if you signed him and you kind of you pushed on or inverted from the right, you could have him tossing or Trev in the middle and Cucurella as the left centre back. That kind of fixes what you want. Then you have Cucurella in that left centre back role when we're in the ball, and I think he's a very good player, which would could step up into Chelsea. I think on the Vega stuff, like you say, I don't think it's too bad because yes, he pushed for a move, but it didn't ever seem that toxic. It was just kind of a you want to play centre back, you're pushing for a move centre back. Chelsea aren't that bothered. But like you say, is it too far gone? Maybe they look at it over the next couple of weeks and you kind of bring Vega out of the bomb squad and let him train with the first team with if we find a move for you that works from a financial perspective, we let you go. If it doesn't, you could stay and be that cover. And if you solidify yourself as a player, you have a chance to stay. I mean, if he comes and plays for Chelsea for 9 months and is a mainstay in the team, helps us, and then next summer we decide to part ways, I mean, his value's only going to have gone up. So it might not be the worst situation. It just
It could
depends
also
on,
save us long term because we do feel like we need another centre back.
yeah,
But in hypothetical land, let's say Wes has a injury free season. Yeah, good joke. But anyway, um, let's say Wes has an injury free season and Vega has a really good season. You've then got Vega and Colwill on the left, and then Wes, Tosin, and Trev on the right, and you've suddenly got five very
yeah.
good centre backs that are
With
trusted.
Saar being able to potentially step up
Exactly,
as
yeah.
well. Yeah.
And this is the other thing. We have got Saar, who's obviously just been loaned out to Strasbourg. I highly doubt we call him back now. It'll be
No, no, no. I
almost
mean for next
pointless.
year.
And then you've got Aaron Anselmino as well, who's knocking around. That he is the right profile. He is a line breaking centre half. He's aggressive. He's quick. He can cover the channels, but I just don't know if he's ready.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't think he is.
I think we'll
I
find
think
out
if we
sooner than
hadn't
you expect.
signed, I think if we hadn't signed Saar to then loan him back, I think Anselmino would have been on loan at Strasbourg because they know that he needs a loan.
Yeah.
But they just didn't think that Saar was ready after looking at him
They
more
also, from
closely.
from what I heard, they want Anselmino to stay in England. They want him to improve his English.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, for sure.
but I think we'll find out sooner than we expect. Obviously, weirdly, it's game day today. We're playing tonight,
Yeah,
so and then obviously again on Sunday. So that it's very unlikely you're going to see the same players play tonight and Sunday. So therefore,
depends how he manages it. He might have a 45-minute side for tonight and first half and second half, and then you might see the same again on Sunday where everybody only
yeah,
plays 45 minutes.
maybe. I just think it's quite quick succession
I just
games.
don't think we have enough players to play a whole team because you never play in preseason. You never see someone play 90 minutes. So I don't
Yeah,
think there's enough players about to play two different sides in 2 days. So I think it might be a
I think it's
45-minute
just
team, a 45-minute team, both
it's
games.
it's a bit of an odd scenario pre-season, though, isn't it? Because you think we were only playing competitively 3 weeks ago.
Mm,
Whereas a lot of time in pre-season, you've had like a month and a half off, no
yeah.
games, on holiday, etc. But it'll be interesting because regardless of which way he plays it, you're going to see multiple different centre back partnerships, and it could give us a bit of a vibe of which way he's going to go. I'd expect to see something like um, Tosin and Josh at some point, and then Trev and Hato, or something along them lines. I would expect to see. Um,
So looking forward to seeing Hato. I think he's
mate,
such a baller.
I'm just hoping that he plays on Sunday when I'm going.
Yeah, yeah, fair. Um, Cool. Well, that kind of sums up centre back. I think it's pretty much let's wait and see what happens. I think we're both probably the similar to Chelsea. We're not quite sure. You kind of think, do you step out into the market, but how does that work longer term? And do you just give Vega another go as he wants to play centre back, and we can now provide that. So yeah, let's see what happens. To go on to the next topic, which I think we joked around on the podcast the other day that Fabrizio Romano tells us every 15 seconds that don't forget about Garnacho, but it seems to have moved now where we've approached Man United and started to discuss fees and personal terms are either agreed or broadly understood to what needs to happen. And Garnacho only wants Chelsea's turned down Italian approaches like Napoli, etc., other Premier League sides, as well as big money in Saudi. So, I mean, we've never been completely against the signing, but we've also not been asking for it. But for a player to only want Chelsea is always a good sign. I put out on Twitter the other day that Chelsea have done some background checks on him, and they believe that any off the field issues is a Man United issue, just like Sancho, just like Rashford. Um, that both had those issues, both left and never had any issues. You didn't hear about it, and Man United's quite toxic. And also, Enzo Fernandez has vouched for Garnacho and said he wants to concentrate on football and he wants to get away from the noise. So obviously that's a positive from there. We both mentioned the other day that we quite like the profile of the player. So I'm just going to chuck something up on the screen now. So this will kind of give us the attacking depth of two in every position. You got your Pedro, you got your Delap, Gittins, Garnacho, Palmer, Simmons, Neto, Esteval, which all can play in pretty much every position across the front four, apart from probably Delap. And maybe Gittins can't play up front, but yeah, you get the point that all the three behind the striker can play in all three of those positions, and Pedro could probably play across all of the three behind as well. To start with, what's your reaction to Garnacho? What's your thoughts on the player?
Yeah, like we said the other day, he's not my first choice if we're going to sign and added an additional attacker. But he's by far from last. I think he's a good player. He's got a good profile. I think under the right manager, which Enzo Maresca definitely could be, I think he has got ability to improve drastically, and he's already a pretty decent winger. And if we're talking a figure that's in the 30s, I just don't see any real issues with it, to be honest. Obviously, there are question marks around the attitude and the entourage, etc. But overall, I don't think that's that much of a concern. We've had players come in before that have had supposed attitude issues, and we've not heard a peep out of them. So, like you say, it seems like that's a Manchester United thing. There's been multiple occurrences of that in the last few years with the likes of Garnacho. Martial had some issues. Sancho had some issues. So
Anthony as well, like, and then went
exactly,
over there
yeah.
and they all loved him. So, I mean, I think in
It
the
all
last 12
seems
months,
United.
you've
What?
had Sancho, Anthony, Garnacho, Rashford. That's all in the last 12 months, and anybody who has left has then gone on to have absolutely zero issues. So
Exactly, yeah.
I think it's a United issue more than the player, but also his brother needs to learn to shut the fuck up, basically,
Yeah,
and
of course.
stop tweeting.
But overall, I think it's a nice signing and nothing more. It's not like stood me up and gone wow, but I'm also not planning a riot over it either. I'm sort of
Yeah,
stuck in the middle.
I think well, actually, just as we're recording, I saw actually I've just saw it from earlier, but that Fabrizio Romano has said every single detail of personal terms is done with Garnacho. So I can't imagine we'd have done that without knowing what we need to get done with Man United. So I'd assume he will join, and will join quite soon. I think it's the famous market opportunity. I think if Man United hadn't completely said you're leaving, you've got no plans. I think if Hammer hadn't told him in front of everybody that you're not part of the squad and you need to find a new team, then they could have got 50, 60, maybe even 65 kind of for Garnacho. But he doesn't want to go anywhere else. He only wants to come Chelsea, and it's clear that he's not going to stay at Man United. So they have zero negotiation
Yeah,
kind of power
the
there.
ball's in our court completely.
Yeah.
There's
So
almost nothing they're going to be able to do to stop it, which
yeah.
is why the deal is nice because you're going to get a good fee out of it. You're probably
Yeah.
going to be looking 35-ish.
30, maybe even 30 with like 5-10 in add-ons, which I think Chelsea would probably be quite happy with. I mean, he's a player that could come in. If it doesn't quite work, you could probably sell for 40, 45 next summer if he's had some minutes in the Chelsea side, and we decided to kind of move him on. So
I
yeah, I
actually
think
heard
it's
that we've agreed a deal with Arsenal for him in 2 years' time.
comes in, does shit, and then we'll sell him for
Yeah,
65 million in
exactly.
two
Yeah,
years' time. Yeah.
that deal's ready for
He's a player
2027.
he's a player that can just move. You'd be able to move on if it doesn't work out. So
Yeah, Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
it's pretty risk free. But to go on to the next page, we've kind of got a little bit of his stats on the screen. I think we've discussed it at length, but his shot, for me, the thing that always stands out by watching Garnacho with my eyes, but is also backed up by the data that we see on the screen, is his carries. He's kind of top 15% for carries and carrying distance, possessive carries, etc. Um, shots and shots on target, top 10% in the 90th percentile. He's quite a high volume passer in the 75 percentile. He's not afraid to switch the ball long as well. And that's quite a high percentage, and also his goals aren't bad for a very struggling Man United side. I think he got 11 goals and 10 11 assists last season in one of the most terrible Man United sides we've ever seen, and he was probably even better of a player the season before. He had more goal involvements and stuff when Man United were better. So, in a terrible side, in a season where there were some issues with the manager after Amorim came in, he still managed to get double-digit goals and assists. So yeah, he's clearly efficient. Sorry, not necessarily efficient. He's clearly one of those players who takes a lot of shots and finds himself in positions that chances just kind of come to him. Um, he reminds me very similar to kind of like a Darwin Núñez. He just always seems to find an opportunity, and at the moment he's not always the most clinical, but if he can improve on that, then he's going to score a lot of goals, and he works his arse off the ball as well. So you can't complain from that perspective as well. What kind of stands out specifically for you? What's on the screen, or just from an eye test of why you quite like it?
Yeah, I think, like you said earlier, I think the progressive carries are nice. I think that's a nice stat, and I know there was a dribble statistic floating about the other day, but that's just because he tries so many that he obviously doesn't complete everything that he does. The one that stands out for me the most, and probably a little bit more frustrating around Levi's injury, is that progressive passes received. He's in the
Hmm.
top 8%. He finds the right space to be able to receive a pass, and when you've got the passers on the pitch like we have, like your Enzos, like Levi's, like Cucurella, players like that, Cole Palmer, who can pick out a pass, it's going to be really helpful in attack to have somebody who can receive a ball the way he does. And also, just looking, he's got 48 goal involvements for Man United in 144 appearances, but that actually equates to a goal involvement less than every other game. Less than every other game. It's about every
Hmm.
game and 3/4 a goal involvement. Bearing in mind, obviously, he was a kid. He came through. He started on the bench. Like, he's been playing for Man United now for 4 years. He's only 21 years old. Like, he's got real experience for somebody who's that young, and there is definitely room to improve. Um,
Yeah.
like I've maintained throughout, I'm not thrilled with the signing. I'm not upset by it. I think he's a good player. He probably wouldn't be my first choice, but I think he could come in and do really well for us.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I mean, I think it kind of it marries up to the fact of Chelsea going for young players who have looked promising, but also have some experience in playing at a high level. I mean, he's played Champions League, he's played Europa League, he's played in finals. So, I mean, what is he? 21?
21, and
21? Yeah, just
he's
turned
played
21 as well.
150 career games, 152 career games already.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's 21 years old. He's done okay. Double-digit goals both seasons, both of his last two seasons in the struggling Man United side. Um, and last year he got 10 assists as well and seven the year before. So he clearly knows how to get a goal involvement, and he's only 21 years old. He kind of matches that Simmons, that Pedro, that Hato of over 100 games in a top five league, starting for a decent side. Um, so yeah, I think it's fairly risk free. It comes in, if it doesn't work, you can sell him for a bit of profit or at least your money back next year. It's going to integrate quite well because of all the South American talent that we've got. He's got his best mate in Enzo Fernandez here. Um, so as long as he comes in and nails it down, I mean, I think Garnacho and Gittins pushing each other for the left-sided position could work quite well. So I think a lot of people are overreacting to the news on Twitter just because his brother tweets a bit and said, "Oh, I don't want to go to Chelsea," about 3 years ago. It's like, come on, boys, plays for Man United, and would you like would you like Esteval to say, "Oh yeah, I would like to play for Man United," and like when on Twitter? No, you wouldn't. You want them to say, "No, fuck Man United." So I don't think we can read into that too much. And I mean, you're gonna have to get over it because it looks like he's coming. Um, and then you just judge him and support him when he gets here. Anything else you want to add on Garnacho before we move on to the last topic?
No, I don't think so. I think we've spoken about it enough.
Perfect. Cool. So the last thing we wanted to speak about was Jackson to Newcastle. I mean, we put out yesterday on our Twitter that we're hearing that personal terms are very close to being agreed. They might even be agreed by this point, and looks like an option that they could look at. I personally think that I mean, he's not on the level of Isak, but the way he plays, the way he drifts in, the way he can drift wide, kind of fits the Isak kind of mold and what they want from a striker over there. Just nowhere near as clinical or as good, but probably not a bad replacement for Isak. And with the good relationship that Chelsea have with Newcastle's higher ups, probably not a particularly difficult deal to get done. Jackson seemingly, from reports from Fabrizio and David Ornstein now, has accepted that he's third choice and he needs to move on if he wants to play games. So I think my thoughts are if you can get some sort of fee around the Sesko, around the Ekatike money, kind of 70-75 all in with add-ons included, is a very good deal for Chelsea and in a player that's not going to play for us. What's your kind of reaction first to him to Newcastle, and then to what's your thoughts on what kind of fee you think we should get for him?
Yeah, I think it's a good move for him. To be honest, he gets to stay in the Premier League, a league that I do think actually suits him. I know a lot of people aren't convinced, but I actually think the league does suit him in the way the build up and the phases work. That I think the way he can break through a team and he can get in behind is definitely something that suits him. I think Newcastle probably maybe Villa, but Newcastle or Villa probably the best move he could have had in the Premier League, the one that suited him the most. Like you say, he's similar to Isak in many of his abilities, just without being on that level or having the finishing of an Isak. But overall, I think it's a good move for the player. I've got no issues with him at all. I just don't think he's good enough. And I'd like to see him go on and succeed and ultimately prove me wrong, to be honest. As long as it doesn't isn't at the expense of Chelsea, that's fine.
To be honest, on that front, I'm not really that bothered. I mean, if he turns out to be the player that we've seen glimpses of it, I currently sit here today and believe that Delap and João Pedro will be better than him and have more impact for Chelsea.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And I think Jackson's off the pitch stuff, throwing a tantrum when he's not scoring goals, and Chelsea kind of fans getting on the back of him. I mean, we've heard before that when the fans were on the back of the players last year going through a bad spell, that he thought that the fans were contributing to the negative form that they have. Which, I mean, fair enough, have that opinion, but also play better, and we
Yeah,
won't be back at the end of the day. So I think,
Chelsea fans are very easy to get on side. Work
yeah,
hard, show you're playing for the badge. It's that simple.
and shut
Um,
up, basically.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
On the fee, I think whatever fee we get for him is going to be quite nice. We signed him for 35 million. He's had 2 years of amortization now, so we're probably looking at, even if we get 60 mil, we're looking at 30 mil plus net profit. So yeah, overall, I think if you can get a package of anywhere between 60 and 70 million total, I think that's a good deal for him.
Yeah, I think with the Newcastle situation, because we've got such a good relationship with them, you might even see like a guaranteed 55, maybe 60 with some in add-ons, because they both sides would want the deal to get done. So Chelsea can put a little bit more on
And
the
let's face it,
add-on side of
Newcastle
things.
need to start getting deals over the line because the
Yeah,
season
100%.
starts next week and they've not signed anyone apart from Malanga
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah,
Um,
so we've kind of got them a little bit, but also I don't think Chelsea will be quite as strict on the initial fee because of how much profit we'll have in it. Like you say, 55 million probably is a 25-30 million profit with the amortization already, and then you can have others in add-ons, quite achievable add-ons, putting it up to yeah, putting it up to kind of 65, 70 million overall. So yeah, I think it's if Newcastle want it and Jackson is happy to go to Newcastle, I see it probably moving quite quickly, which we've already kind of heard rumblings in the background. So yeah, I think good move for him, good money for us. Not particularly scared about Newcastle, to be honest with you. So I don't see it being one, especially short term, to come us bite us in the arse. And like I say, I kind of rate Delap and Pedro a lot higher. I think Pedro is levels above, and Delap is a different profile that complements what we need up front. So yeah, for me, let's get it done. Let's unlock the money to go and finish off Xabi Simons. And then yeah, we can get into the season. I think that's going to sum it up for us today. Please drop a comment down below to enter into the giveaway, but also of any of your thoughts. We want to start integrating our listeners' comments to the show, so we can discuss the best comment that we've seen beforehand. So drop a comment down below, let us know what you think, and we will catch you all next time. Peace.